Okay, so here we are. This states, in each of the two models pictured below, write the expressions that determine the area of each of the four smaller rectangles, okay? So I'm going to show this here, all right? These are basically two identical rectangles. Here it actually shows you the grid, right, of what's in there. And here it just shows you the areas with the measurements on the outside, okay? So let's take a look at these. Each of these two pictures below, write the expression. So we're going to write them right inside. So if I see this rectangle here, let's count how many rows there are. 1, 2, 3, 4. We're going to label that as a 4. Just like that, okay? And then let's count these rows here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Now there's 10 rows there, okay? If I put all those together, you can see that 10 and 4 would be 14, okay? Now I'm going to go across the top. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, right? So there's 10 there. And then here I see 1, 2 columns. Yeah. Put those together, you'd see 12. And you can see here it's the same exact rectangle over here. Okay? Now what we're going to do is put in the expressions to show all of these things here, okay? So this would be 4 ones times 110, or just 10, right? And over here it'd be 4 ones times 2 ones, right? See how that's 4 times 10 and that's 4 times 2? Down here would be 10, or 110, times 110, or it's 10 times 10, okay? And then finally, here would be 110 times 2 ones, or 10 times 2, okay? See how that works out? Okay, so sometimes you'll see this written out like this. You'll see it as like 4 ones times 110, right? And you can do that for every single one. But I feel like this gets a little bit more it gets too confusing when I write that out that way. I'd rather say this is 4 ones times 110, all right? So they're going to write that way, okay? And this over here, we're going to write it out and actually give our answers, you know. What is 4 times 10? 4 times 10 is equal to 40, isn't it? So the area of this rectangle is 40. What's the area of this rectangle here? It's 4 times 2. Wouldn't that be 8? Yeah. Okay. And down here it's 10 times 10. I have room to write it, so I will. 10 times 10. That equals 100, right? 10 tens is 100. And then finally, you see this line here from here is 10. So 10 times 2, that's be 20. So there are 4 partial products. We've got 40, 8, 100, 20. Those are the 4 partial products that we mentioned in our I can statement in the before class started, okay? So now down here is we're going to, using the distributive property, rewrite the area of the large rectangle as the sum of the areas of 4 smaller rectangles. Express first in number form and then read it in unit form. Okay. So what we did here is we have 14 times 12. Now all of this wording here might have sounded a bit confusing to you, so let me just break it down for you. The distributive property is when you break numbers into simpler numbers to use, okay? Like we did here. 10 and 4 is 14, so we just split it into a 10 and a 4. Up here was 12, so we split it into a 10 and a 2. All right? So that's what we did here. So we took this 4 and we multiplied it by 10 and we multiplied it by 2. And that's what we're going to do here. By 10 and 2. Okay? Then, part of that 14, okay, so we split that into a 10. And we multiplied that by 10. And we multiplied this other by 2. Just like that. So we expressed it in number form, and then we're going to read it in unit form. And this is what reading it in unit form looks like. 4 ones times 110 plus 4 ones times 2 ones plus 110 times 110 plus 110 times 2 ones. I don't know about you, but every time I use unit form, it's almost like a mouthful. It makes it more confusing to me, but still going to do what it asks me to do, okay? So if I added all these up together, I would end up with my answer, right? I'd end up with 40 plus 100, which is 140, plus another 20, be 160, plus 8, be 168, okay? So that was a lot of work, okay, to get to that point. And let's try it down here in a more condensed version, okay? So let's buckle in and really see how we do it. We're going to use the area model to represent the following expression and record the partial products and solve. We can do this. Let's get to work. So I got 14. So I'm going to use this 14 times 22. Can't really do this right off of my head. So what I want to do is use a break apart or the distributive property. So I'm going to break apart the 14 and the 22. And what I want to do is break those apart so I have a 10, nice even 10s. So I want to break this 14 into a 10 and a 4. And that's going to be my rows here. This first number always indicates the rows. So this is going to be a 10 and a 4, because that would make 14, right? Good. Now, let's see if you can guess on this next factor, how am I going to split this up in the columns here? That's right. If you said 20 and 2, you'd be correct, right? Because a nice even 20, we love that. We like nice even 10s. We love those 10s. And then these 2s, these smaller numbers we can handle on their own. Now what we want to do is start multiplying each one of these rectangles to figure out all our partial products, and that's what we're going to add up here, okay? So let's give it a shot, okay? So let's start right here from the top. I've got 4 times 20, or 4 ones, times 2 10s, 4 times 20. That's going to equal to 80, right? Because 4 times 2 is 8. Just bring your 0 over, you have 80. And then I've got 4 times 2, right? Because this line here is also going to be the same thing as 4. 4 times 2 is equal to 8. Good. Let's look at that. We got 88. Okay? And down here is 10 times 20. 10 times 20. Okay? 1 times 2 is 2. Bring my 2 zeros over. It's 200, right? 110 times 2 10s is 200. And then finally, I have 10 times 2. That is 20. Great. So if I add all these partial products up, I'll have my answer, okay? I'm just going to circle them so you can see them a little bit better. So what I like to do over here is we're going to start with the smallest. This 4 times 2 is 8, right? See how that works? 4 times 2 is 8. Then we're going to work our way up to our 2 times 10, right? So we got 2 times 10 here. See that? That is 20. Great. Now we got this one up here, this 20. This 20 times 4, that's this one, right? That comes out to be 80. And then 20 times 10, or 10 times 20, is 200. Add these up. 8 plus nothing is 8. 2 plus 8 plus 0 is 10. 1 plus 2 is 3. Looks like I got 308 for my answer. Pretty cool. Kind of fun, too. It's kind of fun, all right? Learning how to just manipulate numbers and do all that kind of stuff. Now, there's a simpler way to do this. There's a process to it. But just going through the steps and learning how these numbers can be broken apart is really going to help our overall understanding of numbers and multiplication. Okay, and as always, I want to take a look back at my work and just make sure that I'm happy and proud of the work I've done. Okay, so here we are onto the back. Okay, so draw an area model to represent the following expressions and then record the partial products vertically and solve. So what we need to do here is draw these kinds of rectangles and do this just on our own. And look at all this space we have to do it. I can do that. So I'm going to use this as a model or a guide to draw here, okay? See how that is. So I'm going to leave this off to the side so I can look at it, okay? So what I want to do is I'm going to make a big rectangle like that. And then what I'm going to do is make this. Remember, we just did that kind of same thing as we did yesterday. But now I'm going to draw that there, like that, on top. So I've got 4 area models just right there. Now I need to take my 25 times 32. Now I need to break that apart and show that on my grid here, on my little area model. So let's start with the 25. This is going to be our rows, and we're going to break that apart and bring it down here into 2 different numbers, all right? And I have a feeling you know what those numbers are. They are 20 and 5. Good. Then up here we got to take this 32 and break that into 2 numbers that we can use. And I have a feeling you know what that is. It's going to be 30 and 2. It's great. Now, what I need to do is solve for each of these to get the right ones, okay? So 5 times 30. Well, 5 times 3 is 15. But it's not just 3, it's 30, so I got to put my 0 on the end, so it's 150. And then 5 times 2 is 10, right? Then here, 20 times 30. Well, 2 times 3 is 6. Take my 2 zeros, put them on the end, it's 600, right? And then 20 times 2, that's 40. 2 20s is 40. So if I add all these up, I'm going to have my answer. And let's show that over here in our partial products vertically to solve. So I've got 32. So it's 25 times 32. Okay, 25 goes on the bottom here. All right, so I'm going to work with my smallest numbers. My ones place first. All right, 5 times 2, well, that's 10. So I put the 10 right down like that, right? Now I'm going to take a step up. 2 times 20, that's 40, right? Then I move over to my 30s. 30, or, yeah, 5 times 30, it's 150. And then 20 times 30, 600. Add them up. 0, 10, 8. Comes out to be 800. Cool. Let's do this one down here. All right, remember, make this big rectangle. And then we're gonna make split it into 2 smaller rectangles like we did yesterday, right? Now, I need to make the 2 smaller rectangles just by making a little line across the top. So now I got my 4 partial products. Now it's time to break these numbers apart. Remember, this number here, this lead number is our rows, and this number is our columns. So 35. Break that into a 30 and a 5. 42. Break that into a 40 and a 2. Okay? Now I'm going to write this time I'm going to write out my multiplication over here. It'll be 42 times 35. Now let's work this together, okay? So let's start with this. 5 times 2. Okay, that's 10, isn't it? 5 times 2 is 10? That's right. Now, I'm going to stick with this 2, right? How about we do, 30 times 2. Isn't that 60? All right, it's 60. 2 times 3 is 6. Bring the 0. I got 60. Great. Now we're going to move on to this 30 here, okay? So I got 30 times 2, or I got, yeah, 30 times 2. So wait a minute. Yeah, all right. So what I did here is I kind of made a mistake here. Let me just fix that instead of restarting this whole thing off. All right, trying to do something a little bit different, mess up. All right, I got 5 times 2 is 10. Now I need to do 5 times 40. That's 200. Right? 5 times 40 is 200. See, I did that? Good. Now I'm going to do 30 times 2. 30 times 2 is 60. I got my 200 here. And then, finally, I've got my 30 times 40. 3 times 4 is 12. Put my 2 zeros on the end. That comes out to be 1,200. I'll line them all up. 0, 7, 4, 1. 1,470. Yeah, that one I got, even to myself, and, the teacher was going to make a mistake on this. So at least I recognized it and got back and fixed it. Right? Now, finally, down here to finish up our math today is that we're going to visualize the area model. Okay? So to visualize means we're going to kind of do this in our head. Okay? So we're going to just do the partial products. Okay? So we may sketch an area model if it helps. We're going to just give it a shot without doing that. So here I've got 11 times 42. 42 times 11. So what I'm understanding here is that 42 times 11, the 42 goes on the bottom and the 11 goes on top. Okay. So first I want to do is start here in my ones place here, this 2. What is 2 times 1? It's 2. So I write that 2 down right here, okay? Partial products, remember. And then I do 2 times 10, right? That 1 right there stands for 10 because it's in the tens place. 2 times 10 is 20, right? Good. So what I did, let me just use some different colored pens here so I can really show you what I did here, is I did this 2 times 1 first, and then this 2 times 10 next. That's what I got. Now, I got to get this 4 involved, so I need to do this 40 times 1. 40 times 1. Remember that 4 is in the tens place, so that comes out to be 40. And then I need to do 40 times 10. And that comes out to be 400. And let's add them up. 2 plus zeros. 2 plus 4 plus 0. And 4. 462. Okay, so, and the last one, 46 times 11. Now remember, I've got 46 times 11. The 46 goes on the bottom. So 46 times 11. Good. Okay, so I start with the 6 here in the ones place. And I'm going to multiply this number by the 1s here and by the 10s here. 6 times 1 is 6. 6 times 10 is 60. Right? Good. Now I'm going to go to the tens place. 40 times 1 is 40. Right? Because that's in the tens place. And then I got 40 times 10. Because these are both in the tens place. That's 400. Add those up. 6 plus 0 is a 6. 6 plus 4 is 10, plus 0 is still 10. 506 is my answer. Okay? All right. Well, I hope you had success with that today. I hope it was okay for you. And again, we're going to keep grinding through, and we're going to make our mistakes, and we're going to learn from them, and we're going to keep getting better. All right? So, good job today, kids. We'll see you tomorrow at math class. Have a good night.